Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the long-awaited SH Figuarts Dragon Ball Z Super Saiyan GOTENKS figure. I know many people are really excited about this guy. I was one of them. I thought it looked like a really good figure, and at first glance, it definitely does. This thing does a lot of things really nicely. However, there are some serious, and I mean serious, problems with this figure. It's very disappointing, so there's definitely a lot to talk about, so let's go ahead and get him off the stand and take a closer look. Now, this guy stands, including his hair, about 5.5 inches, which makes him just about 14 centimeters. If you want to see what he looks like up against, let's say, Goku, because I think this is probably the best metric for size, he's quite small, but definitely well within reasonable size. I think that's probably good. So that's nice. And at first glance, as I mentioned, his aesthetic is really nice. It looks just like it's supposed to. I think they did a really good job with the shading on the hair. The faces are highly accurate. The pants have a nice look to them. There's shading throughout the pants. The belt thingy looks pretty good. The proportions look pretty good. It looks really nice at first. But once you start to get a little bit closer and start to handle the figure, I have a feeling most people are going to be pretty disappointed. One of the biggest issues is that the face falls off just from posing the figure. Like a lot. Like not just a little bit, like a lot. If you lean his head forward almost at all, the face comes off. It's terrible. That is really, really bad. That is an egregious problem. Two other problems. The rest is actually pretty good, but two other problems, and then some kind of iffy things. These yellow pieces on his vest are painted. They're completely separate pieces, but they're painted. They're molded in dark blue and then painted yellow. Painting yellow doesn't work well. Painting yellow on top of dark blue works even less well. And in some cases these look okay, but in a lot of places there's a lot of blue poking through, especially for the upper collar, and it just doesn't look good. There's no reason for that other than it's cheaper to mold in the same color. So they made one mold that had the chest and these pieces, and they did that. You can't paint yellow effectively over dark blue unless you're extra careful, and apparently they weren't. So that's a big time bummer. If you don't look too close, you don't notice it, but these are not how they should be. That's not okay. Similarly, this chest is also skin tone painted on top of dark blue, and it doesn't match the molded arms or head or chest or lower torso. It's a noticeably different color. In some lighting, it looks a little bit better. Like right now, even though you can still tell the difference, it doesn't look too bad. But just in my regular, like when I had it in the living room without my studio lighting, it was like not even close to the same color. And it looks really, really bad when that happens, and that's not okay. I mean, you can't have two separate skin tones right next to each other. It looks awful. So those are the big issues. The only other issue is the elbow is now just a single joint. I'm pretty sure they showed off a double joint at one point, and it has very minimal range, and the biceps are sculpted kind of weird. But we'll get to that. Let's talk about accessories. We have a total of 3 different faces. The one neutral, kind of smiling face. Then we have the one where he looks kind of scared or shocked or whatever you want to call that. And then we have the yelling face. I think the normal head and the yelling head are gorgeous. Not a big fan of the one with the big round eyes. It looks a little bit weird because the eyes are so high up on the head. We have a few different hands. We have the 2 fist hands that come on him in the package. A couple of gripping hands, which one is actually for gripping and one is not. It's just sculpted that way. We have one kind of pointing finger hand, 2 kind of victory pose or peace sign hands, and then one wide open hand. We have the ghost, which is very nice. I like that. That's done really well. Very nice looking accessory with the translucent hair and then the more milky body and the paint job. Looks really, really good. And then we have a display stand and an energy effect. So the display stand comes with 2 arms, one arm for the figure and then one arm and a little clip for the energy effect. And so for the donut, it's translucent yellow. It's not anywhere near as saturated or vibrant as I was hoping. It's kind of a milky yellow, which is, I mean, it's better than nothing. I'm glad that they made it, and it's well sculpted, but the color is a little, it looks kind of like Nappa's fart cloud. It's not the best color. It's kind of a bummer, but it is nice enough to have that. So that's it, which is not, I don't know. I feel like for such a small figure, we probably could have got a little bit more out of the package. Maybe, I don't know, maybe another ghost or, I don't know. Doesn't it seem a little bit light on plastic? Kind of does. Kind of does. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about the articulation. For the head, you have this cool feature where the face pops off, and I can show you inside. Now, first of all, we have the ball peg on the top of the hinge, which holds the actual head. That's particularly loose. It's not floppy, but it is very loose, that ball peg. And then we have the ball hinge with the straight peg going down to the neck, which you can basically not manipulate at all unless you pop the face off. And even then, the way this ball hinge is so tiny and it's at the very front of the neck and it's recessed, it's almost worthless. It's a really terrible design for the neck. I always say this, and it's always true, a double ball peg would have been better, but this is a perfect example of how bad a ball hinge can be for the neck. And because of the way it is, as soon as you lean it forward, the chin hits up against the neck, and the faces don't fit on the head in the first place, so they just pop off. They pop right off. It's really bad. That is not okay. The neck is on a ball peg, and it barely moves at all. So that's not very good. The shoulders are okay. You get a ball peg for the arm connecting to the body, and then this piece is just kind of like, this blue piece is just a floating piece to hide that, which is good. I like that. And then the shoulders are your standard hinge, which work nicely. And these guys peg into the back of the shoulder just like they've been doing since the beginning of the Figuarts line. So that's okay functionally speaking, just not paint-wise. So the shoulders are fine. I like that. I think that works pretty well. I'm pleased with that. Bicep swivel is just a bicep swivel. However, the sculpt on the upper arm is such that you can't really tell what part is what. So once you start rotating it around, you might end up with like a tricep facing forward or something. And the good thing is you won't really be able to tell. The bad thing is you won't really be able to tell. So then you have your ball hinge for your elbow, which doesn't even give you 90 degrees. Less than 90 degrees on a Figuarts elbow. What the heck? What the heck? And I mean, you can rotate around on that a little bit, but it's useless because you have a bicep swivel, so that's a really, really limited elbow. Wrists are on a ball hinge, so that's fine. Diaphragm joint for the upper body, it doesn't really do anything. It leans back a little bit and creates a gap, which is not good. Leaning forward doesn't work. Leaning side to side works just a little bit. Rotation works fine, so I guess you get your rotation out of that. You have a single ball peg for the lower torso. That actually works pretty nicely. I like that. That's good. Floating belt is a floating belt with a swivel right there, so that's good. For the hips, we have our swivel, which is actually a ball peg, but we have a swivel to let them go all the way forward and back, which is pretty good. I like that. That's nice range. Now, you'll probably notice when you do this cap piece right here, the one that goes up against the crotch, will get stuck and then snap into place. So you're going to hear a clicking sound, but it's not actually a click. It's just that. I don't know if you'll hear it in the video, but when you own the figure, you'll hear that snap into place, but it's nothing to worry about, so that's fine. Full range is there. Bringing the legs out to the side, not the best range, but it's good enough. I'll take it. Thigh swivel works nicely. Double jointed knee is not the best we've seen, but it's okay. It works well, and it's not the absolute ugliest, so that's all right. And then we actually have a ball hinge ankle, which would have been good, except the ball hinge is about half as big as it should be. It's recessed in the ankle and in the foot, so you get not great range. Better than what they've been doing, but it's still not great. And you can kind of force it to be a little better, but not that much. So it's pretty limited. And rotating it to get an ankle rocker does work, though, so I love that. Love that. That's a really nice addition. And then we have a toe hinge, which is okay. So yeah, I'm very, very it's unfortunate. I'm very upset, like in a sad way, that this figure has so many problems, because at first glance it looks great. It looks really, really good. And so I guess that's okay, because you stick him on a shelf and never touch him again, and it won't be too noticeable. But the face falling off, the chest being a completely different color than the torso and the arms and the head, that's not okay. And then these guys, it's not as big of a deal. If everything else was fine, I wouldn't complain about these too much. But these guys being molded in dark blue, so basically you get a dark blue peg with yellow paint, and then the paint not being good, that's not okay. That's a bummer. I don't know. Like, they're so close to a fantastic figure here. I don't really get it. And they've been doing a good job. Master Roshi was awesome. Bulma was awesome. The new Goku's pretty good. Boob was awesome. I mean, so many good figures. Then they have the duds like this one, which were so close to being awesome. I don't know what's going on. I'm a little bit bummed out, and I'm sure a lot of you are going to be like, oh no, it's perfect. But I showed you why it's not. Oh, another thing I want to point out, I've seen this now on a couple of them. The shading is like missing in chunks. So that's also a problem. I like the shading overall, but if you have missing spots, it looks really bad. So that's definitely That's definitely not the best situation. So this guy, I can't fully recommend it. I mean, I guess I can in that it does do some things really well and looks good if you just leave it alone on a shelf, but it is riddled with problems it shouldn't have. Oh man, I really like the shading on the pants too, but then the chest is a different color than the rest of the body. That's such an eyesore. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. I'm thoroughly displeased because it looked so dang good and now it's not. So there it is, guys. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. It helps me out a whole lot. And if you haven't subscribed, you might want to do that because I do have new videos up just about every single day. We talk about action figures, movies, TV shows, video games, all kinds of fun stuff. So make sure you come back for that. And in the meantime, keep collecting.